Welcome to the Joy Meets Pain podcast. I'm your host, Dorcas. As a psychotherapist who has worked with children, couples, individuals, and families for decades, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people say, my family is the worst, or I'm too embarrassed to talk about my family, or no family is like mine. Well, guess what, listeners? All families have ishness, foolishness, happiness, shadiness, loneliness, forgiveness, hopefulness, goodness, and the list goes on. If you come from a family and are trying to navigate your family relationships, then welcome. Please keep in mind, I am not providing therapy or medical advice. And here's a heads up. Once in a while, I will curse. So if you're looking for a clean, no foul language kind of show, this is not it. Welcome to our episode 35. Today we have the privilege of having my dearest brother CJ, who is here with us to discuss what happens when siblings date each other's friends, or should they? All right, Taffy, hi, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? And welcome to CJ. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys doing? Hey,
Well,
sis.
hey. I mean, it's
Hey,
nice
Tam.
to have opportunities to meet and chat, right? Not often, but this is a good thing. So very happy to have you here. All right, so before we jump into the topic for this episode, Taffy and I had promised to give you all updates on how we did with becoming a better human, which I believe was our episode 31. But I also, Taffy crossed my mind because today has been a bit of a hectic day. And
Mm.
as I was getting ready to prepare for our recording, I was like, you know what? I actually look forward to these episodes because it's sort of like
Oh,
taking a break from your stressful day and you get to chit chat, with a friend and you talk about whatever, and then you go back to real
I love,
life.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing I wanted to throw out there. But also, I think in terms of the progress we made in being a better human. All right, so things for me. Okay, so what I had promised to do over a month ago, I wanted to check on people who lived alone. I wanted to see the good in people first. I wanted to pay it forward at least twice a week, put a smile on someone's face, detriangulate. Of course, the list was very long, didn't realize it then, but now it's like, okay, I was quite ambitious with my list, right? But I did have two impactful moments. And both of them, most of my experiences had a lot to do with I just was never in the moment. I'm always rushing, right? I think we've done an episode where I say, my narrative is I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. And I realize it still continues. I'm rushing to the store, I'm rushing to get what I need, I'm rushing to get out. And so it was always difficult for me to say, be present, be present. You're supposed to be paying it forward, right? So two
Mhm.
impactful moments. One, there was a man standing in front of me, and I observed him paying it forward for the person in front of him. And I was like, oh my God, look at that. You're supposed to be doing this. But anyway, it was nice to see somebody do that. And then my second opportunity, again, I was standing in line, rushing to try and get out of the store. There's this woman in front of me in her 60s. She has two items she's buying. And right after, I checked out, she was walking in front of me, and I was saying to myself, crap, Dorcas, that was your chance to pay it forward again. So here
Mm.
you go, screwing up. So, while we want to be realistic with our goals and make them achievable, I think the most important thing I'm realizes is that if I'm not intentional, it's never going to happen, right? So I have
Uh,
to plan ahead in order to make sure that these things do happen. All right, I'll stop there since we want to keep it brief. Taffy, how did you do?
so I think I didn't make a list. I think I just kind of have been sort of intuitive about it.
Yeah,
Um, so the ones that come to mind for me would be having more difficult conversations. I'm someone that tends to internalize when I feel like, I'm offended or I'm not happy with something. Like
yeah.
my impulse to withdraw and make a conclusion and then yeah. So yeah, I think just practicing having more open conversations and addressing the things more openly or laying the things on the table. And then the second one would be, it must have been like 2 weeks ago. I was craving a donut. So you know the Biscoff we have
Mhm,
at
mhm.
like local, yeah, they've started making Biscoff donuts. So it has like the Biscoff in like the middle. Oh my goodness. And so that day I was craving one and I spoke to my coworker and I'm like, I'm craving a Biscoff donut. And she was like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, you've never tried a Biscoff donut? And then I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna get myself one today. And then when I was getting myself one, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get her one as well. And I got her one, and then I went into the office the next day and I was like, you have to try the Biscoff donut. So I got it for you. And she was really, really happy. Yeah. So
Oh,
that was a
yeah,
little moment. And she had it, I think, for dessert after lunch.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, it's just amazing what happens when we stop to think about what we're doing, right? And for me, I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned about trying to be a better human is I really have to stop, think about what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm constantly just on the go and
Mhm.
nothing changes. All right, so welcome, CJ. Let's jump into our topic for today. So, siblings, should they date each other's friends? Yes, no. So, just for listeners listening, Taffy, just quickly say how many siblings you have and where in line you fall.
I have two younger brothers. I'm the firstborn daughter. Yeah.
All right, and CJ, what's our family makeup like?
The basics of it. Well, there's four of us left. Used to be five,
Yeah.
and it's all girls and just me, right dab smack in the middle of it. So
That's
two
so
older, two younger, and right there I am in the middle. So that is our family dynamic.
Yep, well, hence why you are a woman's man, right? You learn from both sides of the family system. All right,
Hmm.
and so I guess, I mean it can easily get personal when you start talking about siblings and relationships, but Taffy, if you're comfortable, if you want to use a word to describe your relationship with your brothers, you know,
cool.
um, you can. If not, you don't have to.
So I have two younger brothers. One is still at home, living with the parents. He's finishing up high school. My relationship with him is pretty, it's okay, I think, because he's much younger than me.
Right.
I think I've spent a lot of time away from home, so I don't think we've had the opportunity to like build a
Yeah.
strong bond. So we do communicate when we see each other and also, of course, on the phone. So I would say, yeah, it's as good as it can be,
Right.
um,
Right. Okay.
given the circumstances. And then with the middle one, um, tricky, complicated.
Mhm.
We haven't really been in contact for the past maybe 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, again, you only share what you're comfortable sharing. Nobody needs to know your business, right? We are just trying to talk more about the dating aspect of sibling relationships. So CJ, how would you describe our relationship, your relationship with me? How would you describe it?
Our relationship, in my opinion, we cool. I'm
Yeah,
a live and let live sort of a person.
yeah,
And I've learned over the years to pull back when I sense negativity because I
yeah,
don't do negative anymore.
yeah,
But in terms of you and I, our dynamic, we work fine. We don't communicate as much as we used to,
yeah,
given, I guess, the pressures that you have with your career and everything else, and the different time zones, et cetera, et cetera. But, generally, you and I can sit and talk about anything at any
yeah,
time, and
yeah.
we've never had an issue with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would
Mhm.
say for sure, our relationship has never been adversarial. We've always gotten along for the most part. And I think being a year apart, we were forced into just being close because our
Yeah.
sisters were also a year apart, so they were closer, and then him and I were closer. But yeah, I mean, when we had fights, they were brutal. Like I know me cutting up your shirt, whatever. Anyway, I was a kid, but it's one of those relationships where I know that no matter how bad the conflict is, we can always repair it, right? And so that's one of the things I truly appreciate about our relationship. All right, so let's talk about dating each other's friends. So I'll start with you and I. Taffy can, chime in as you wish. So did you and I ever have a discussion about don't date each other's friends?
Well, not directly, no, we didn't. But I know from talking to your friends, you were very, very super protective and
Yes,
didn't want any of your friends dating me on that
yeah,
part. And
yes,
because of you and the way you are and your temperament, they all were like, we're not doing none of that. We're not messing with you because your sister will just lose it, you
yes,
know.
yes.
So, yeah, I never got to date any of your friends, not that I remember.
Yeah,
It's,
I hope not. I mean, not that
um,
I know either. Maybe when I left, who knows what happened.
no, 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 I never
But
did.
yeah, yeah, but no, I mean, when I was at home, you for sure did not. And I'm probably going to say I'm sure I made this rule very clear because I
To
was
your
like,
friends, yes.
like this
You
is
never
a
mentioned that to me.
not touching zone right here.
Mm,
But yes, I mean, so obviously the rule has been broken, right? And I will
mhm,
say on my end, I'm the one who ended up dating your friend. So
mhm.
how did you feel about that? What were your thoughts when it happened?
Well, initially, it rattled me. I was a bit upset because both of you sort of avoided me for the longest. But then I had to look at it from an adult perspective and say, look, they both grown, they both mature, they both, I hope they both know what they're doing. So who am I to stand in between what it is they feel for each other?
Yeah,
And like I said, I'm a live and let live sort of a person. If you're happy, then I'm happy for you, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Mm. So that's the
Um,
way initially, yes, it did rattle me.
yeah.
And then I got a little bit more upset by the fact that neither of you wanted to tell me about it.
Oh.
It was like there was
Who
some
wants to
avoidance.
share
Mm.
that kind of news?
But anyway, like I
Right?
said, I got over it. I got over it quickly. And I was like,
Yeah,
look, they both grown
yeah,
and
yeah,
they can do what makes them happy.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think we were lucky because we were nowhere near you, first and foremost, you know. And because, yeah, I don't think I would have even crossed that line had we lived in the same space, you know. But yes, I mean, I think
Hmm.
when we talk a lot, Taffy and I have done an episode on the role you play in your family, how you develop your identity. for me, clearly, I have this rescuer role. I want to save and help and, rescue people, even if it's at a cost to me. When a person is consistently who they are, kind, giving, caring, concerned about, the well-being of others, it doesn't really change no matter what you're going through in life, right? And so those are the things to me that were more important than who is this person? Well, what are they struggling with right now? So I felt justified. And that's the thing also, I think when you leave home and you're out in the world, this wild, wild west that some of us live in, you're looking to connect. Taffy is feeling it deeply.
There's
Right.
a lot going on.
Like you're so desperate to connect to people you knew, people who understand you, people you grew up with. And so I think
Hmm.
that's probably something that also drew us together, right? So I guess, Taffy, do you have thoughts, comments, questions before I move on? Because I do want us to also talk about, so is it a big deal? But before we touch on that, any thoughts you're having about my convo with CJ?
Um, I think what I would be curious to understand is why was it important for you to set that boundary?
Okay, so here is something I've noticed. I think men um men are more flexible when it comes to dating women, you know. Men can also, your friend can break up with someone, you can date the same person. They generally don't seem to hold so deeply to some boundaries, right? But for women, because we are sentimental, emotional, we love deeply, and it can sort of just redefine a relationship when that boundary is crossed, right? So let's say if he had dated one of my friendship would change with that person, you know? And I
Okay.
think in our case, because I dated his friend when we left the country, um, it's not like they were seeing each other every day or talking every day or whatever. So it was a little bit different. We were so far apart, but it does change the dynamic of both relationships, right? My relationship with him would definitely had changed had we been interacting on a regular basis, So I
Mhm.
think the rule exists because boundaries are shifted, loyalty can be realigned, you know, and also it can change family dynamics. If it leads to a serious relationship that may lead to marriage, then it's like, okay, whose side am I on? If there is an argument between the two, whose
Mhm.
side do you take? If I know my sister's a hothead, do I go to my friend's side and say, dude, I feel you, man, my sister's got a temper, right? So it can become messy. So maybe that's why the rule is put in place. But my question to you both then, do we think it's a big deal? Do we think it's necessary to have the rule?
Is it a steadfast rule or is it just an assumed rule? Because then that makes a difference. Because each family or from whatever background they're from has a different understanding of that.
Right.
Got
For
some
sure.
people that are liberal on some things and some people that are extremely conservative and reserved on other things. So
Yeah.
there's no way you could say it's a steadfast rule that everybody abides to. Because I know a lot of people that have married
Yeah.
friends of siblings, etc., etc.,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and have continued on into fully fledged, like you're saying, marriages, relationships, etc.
Yeah.
And yes, there is drama and trauma when things hit the fan, but it's all in how it is then dealt with. Because once that boundary's been breached, yes, it changes the dynamic, but it's difficult to sort of say it should be a rule. because many
Yeah.
people have broken it. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, you bring up an excellent point because then it has to do with the siblings themselves, right? What
hmm.
kind of relationship do you all have? And do you think it's necessary to put the rule in place, right? Um, so can I throw you under the bus just for a second, bro?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, I think one of my fears was always that you could also hurt one of my friends, right? You could break their heart. And so that was one of the things that I didn't want to be caught up in because, yes, I
Hmm.
knew you, like Al Capone, you're very sociable, right? And it's like, and yes, you love to help
Taffy,
and rescue.
close your ears.
No,
I'm a
no,
nice
we
guy.
we are calling it sociable for sure. And so I always was just like, if he hooks up with one of my friends or starts dating a friend, and then next thing you know, the friend finds out he's dating so and so as well, then I'm caught in the middle of this,
Chaos.
friction.
Hmm.
Right. So that's why I think mine was a firm, firm no. But yes, I think if you look at it both sides, like let's say I was a timid, you know, sweet sister, right? And one of
Hmm.
your friends wanted to date me. Maybe you wouldn't want them to date me because you knew that I was too soft and timid for them, right? And they could walk all over me and so on, right?
Hmm.
Also, that's a possibility as well. So I do think it has a lot to do with who are the siblings, what is their relationship like? Is it even a conversation that they could have? Or, if one disagrees with the other, then can you have a discussion and to try and understand, okay, why are you not wanting this to happen, right? Yeah, Taffy thoughts? Where's your mind?
Um, I'm a very live and let live kind of person, so I don't think it's ever that deep. I don't think it's ever that serious.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, people are their own person, and also nobody belongs to anyone. And so, of course, yes, there's friendship and whatever, but at the end of the day, everyone has the right to make whatever decision makes them happy. And you don't always have to like it. I think it's okay to express your displeasure, but nonetheless to allow people to do what they're going to do
yeah,
without, I don't know, feeling like you should control it, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely know one thing about myself is that I can be territorial when it comes to my relationships, friendships with siblings, with friends, with people.
Mm.
And so that is like I can care too much, and so that this is something that I've been learning when I added to my becoming a better human, this goal of de-triangulating myself. This is a part of it. This is what the process looks like. It's like, you know what? Just step back. You don't need to manage the narrative in this situation, But I think before we move on as well, I think one thing I think about is what if the breakup is so bad, right? Then um
Shewita. They will figure it out themselves. It's not.
yeah. Yeah, they'll figure it out. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
yes, I guess it's there's that aspect of it, and which is why most of my friends wouldn't or didn't attempt to date you while we were still growing up per se, because I had a quieter temper than Dorcas was very expressive.
Mm,
If she was upset, you knew,
mm,
you know. Whereas for me, it's a slow build up, but then when it hits the fan, it really hits the fan. So yes, there was that
Yeah.
aspect of it as well, to when things do go wrong, and Dorcas, without revealing too much, we both experienced something like that that went horribly wrong. And yes, if it wasn't for other family members telling me to sort of calm down and just let things follow a certain process, it wouldn't have ended the way it ended, if I could
Yeah.
put it that way, because I had already mentally psyched myself up to come and do a lot of damage when I was coming home. So, yeah,
Yeah.
but it took a lot of counseling from other family members older to say, look, let's wait and find out and let's just let things go the way that they're going instead of you rushing into reacting.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
One thing about you, though, is that you do internalize. And
Hmm.
so I always wonder that about you, because like where are all these emotions going? I mean, you clown, you crack jokes, you're playful, you act like everything is cool, but I picture things just sitting in you, or maybe coming out, when you take your breaks. I don't know, but so do you truly feel like you let things go and you move on, or do you feel like it builds and it just simmers beneath the surface?
No, I've learned to not hold on to stuff. Because all it does is it eats at you, the individual, the people you're ticked off at, their lives keep going on as normal. So I don't hold on to stuff. I've learned to deal with it in my own way.
Yeah,
Either I'll confront you, but in a very nice diplomatic way. I've stopped the aggressive sort of confrontation because
yeah.
that'll just get you into more trouble. But I found holding on to stuff eats at you. Hence why, believe it or not, I'd say 70% healthier than most of all my age mates, all my friends. They've all got chronic health issues. I have none, you see. So I learned how to deal with stuff, although I may not say or explode, but I have a way of processing stuff and dealing with it in a way that is manageable.
Okay.
I
Mm.
will
Well,
need
and
some tips from you. I will.
yeah,
Pardon?
she
I
said,
said I will need some tips from you.
Not
Yeah.
a problem. Not a problem.
yeah. Well, and I mean for Namo for sure, I would say, like mommy as well. I think the way you generally cope also is through humor, I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things that helps you just to function better because again we know humor is one of the more mature defense mechanisms of all the defense mechanisms out there. Humor's at the top of the list. And so when we also think about a lot of the comedians who are comedians, they've been through some traumas and they use humor as an
Mhm.
outlet to crack jokes, to let it out. And so yes, I mean I actually will do an episode on humor because I think it's powerful in
Mm.
healing and moving on. And that for me is also one of the ways that I cope. When I've had rough days and I'm checking out, I will find my favorite YouTuber comedians and I will watch them, and it just shifts my mood. So yeah, I do think this is one of Namo's ways. All right, so then I guess if we are voting on rule or no rule, should they date each other's friends? It sounds like we're all saying the two of you are on the same page. We don't need a rule. Why have a rule? And I'm like, well, it
Maturity,
depends who
maturity,
the siblings are.
maturity. I know in certain
Really?
families it has caused chaos.
Yeah.
There's actually a family, I won't mention names, our family. that is dealing with a situation where the older brother's taken the younger brother's wife,
Oh, okay.
literally.
Those
And it's
situations.
caused a rift within the family.
Yeah,
So that is going beyond those sort of sibling type. You
Yeah.
cannot walk away from seeing the chaos
right,
Yeah.
right,
and the pain it's caused within the family because that family used to be very, very close and now they can't even speak to each other,
right.
Mm.
because of that. So there has to be certain boundaries. I guess if you're of the same sex, it doesn't make sense to date each other's friends or, of the opposite sex because then it does cause chaos and confusion.
Yeah,
Whereas, like in our case, there's a difference,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
there's a difference
yeah,
because you don't know, maybe, you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So you need to understand the individuals themselves
Exactly,
before you
exactly.
say rule or no rule. With
Yes,
certain people,
exactly.
steadfast rule. No is a no, no, no. With
Yeah,
other people, weigh it out and
yeah.
see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah, excellent point. This is the point I'm making. You have to know the people involved. And you're also touching on the cultural component as well, because we know in our Shona Zimbabwean culture, I know in other cultures as well, when a spouse passes on, again, this is very traditional practice, right? Um, the the spouse's sibling, usually women, I don't know if this happens with men, but the spouse's sibling is brought there to sort of replace the one who died, right? And it is acceptable in some communities, right? So I think what you're touching on, I guess, is maybe this wasn't a cultural move with the family you're referring to, and the one sibling just took over the other sibling's spouse.
Well, they had been sneaking. The sad part is they had been sneaking around before the other sibling even married this person.
Oh gosh, okay, so this
So
is
that
like,
was something that he should have made clear from the onset. He should have had the decency to say to his brother,
yeah,
look,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
already in this space,
right.
so leave
Yeah,
it alone.
yeah,
But he
yeah.
let it run to the point of where they got married, had a kid,
Oh, wow.
and then it was found out that they still kept sneaking around with each other.
Yeah. Oh
To
dear.
a point
Oh,
where this marriage has collapsed, the
yeah,
family relationship has collapsed, and it's just a
yeah,
mess.
yeah. Oh
Mm,
dear. Well, that sounds like some Maury Povich show type of crap,
yep,
like
Jerry Springer.
exactly.
Yeah, I was about to say Jerry Springer.
Who is the father, Oh dear. All right, so I guess then we are summarizing this as know the people involved. Generally speaking, I think the rule isn't necessary, right? But it is helpful to know are the people mature enough to handle such a relationship, right? And, you know, if I were to split my loyalty, then what would that look like as well? So, okay. All right, so let's move on. Taffy, I think, did you want to ask the listeners a question, something they could ask themselves?
Yeah, I do have a question. So if this kind of situation happened in your family, what would matter most to you? Would it be the loyalty? Would it be autonomy, trust, or preserving harmony? And yeah, I think the answer, whatever the answer is, it says a lot about the values that shape your relationships. So it would be pretty cool to hear what yeah, our listeners think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And again, we always have to look at this from what's going on with me, right? Why is this bothering me so much? Because we can easily blame other people. Why are you dating my friend and all these other things? But I need to figure out for myself, why am I so bothered by this? What is going on with me that this is really bothering me, right? If they are good people and they deserve each other,
Yeah.
then why not let them be, right? And is it worth losing a lifelong sibling relationship or a long friendship over? So I think those are some things to take into consideration as well. So CJ, do you have any closing thoughts, comments?
No, like I said from the onset, live and let live, but know who you're dealing with.
For sure,
And
for
once you
sure.
know who you're dealing with, then it's up to you to manage yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Because regardless of what you say to try and interfere or stop a relationship from happening, it's going to happen.
yeah,
And the more you fight it, you're the one that's going to end up carrying the weight on your shoulders.
right, right.
So live and let live. If they're
Yeah,
happy, let them be happy.
yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. You are the one sitting, uh, just burning up inside while they are enjoying their relationship.
Hey, living la vida loca.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. All right. So I think just wrapping up and talking about siblings, right? So one of the things for me that I have discovered is there is nothing more significant and treasurable than a sibling relationship. When it works well, and when you know you can count on each other, right? So I definitely appreciate you as a siblings. One of the things about you is that you're an excellent listener as well. So I know anytime if I call you for advice, you're not either just going to automatically defend me or the other person. You listen to both sides and you give advice that is usable. So that is something I do treasure. So because you're such a good listener, and you probably part of you does this for a living. If people wanted to reach out to you, to talk to you, ask you questions, how would they be able to contact you?
Well, I'm on Facebook as CJ Matoe the second, and I generally don't like giving out my mobile number because I've had
Yeah.
stalkers
Yeah,
that
no,
I try
don't
and
give
talk
out
about.
your mobile
So I've
number.
actually had to remove it from Facebook, but you can get a hold of me on Facebook. You can
Okay.
send me a friend request and we can chat,
Okay.
etc.,
Okay.
etc.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sounds good. All right, Taffy, what are your closing thoughts?
Um, I don't have any. I think like CJ said, I think my sentiment remains it's live and let live, and you don't have to like it. But I think there's a line. You can decide you don't like it, you can express yourself, but really and truly that's where it should end. You can agree to disagree.
Yeah,
Um and yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think a closing comment I also have is at the end of the day, right? Families are constantly renegotiating boundaries, loyalty, and love. And sometimes the most complicated situations reveal the most about how we show up for the people who are closest to us, right? So again, it's more about how am I showing up for the people who are closest to me. And those challenging situations force us to do so. All right. As always, Tuffy, it's a joy. It's a joy. CJ, it's great to see you and have you. I think we can have so many conversations about so many different topics. So we will see maybe how to keep this going. But you stay well. And if you have any closing thoughts, comments, anyone, if not, we will wrap up.
No, good seeing you all. Nice to finally see you, Taffy.
Nice to meet you. I was so excited.
Yes. Yes,
All
good
right,
seeing
I'm
you too,
sure we'll be
finally too.
seeing more of each other, right? So,
Soon, yes.
all right,
Mm.
well, stay well, everyone. Take care, stay present. I am going to practice being present. No rushing, slow down. All right.
Always in the present.
Always. All
Mhm.
right, take care.
All right, you too.
I hope this episode added something meaningful to your day or to your life. If you have a family related story, whether joyful or painful, that you would like to share, please send an email to info@joymeetspain.com or on Instagram at joymeetspainpodcast. Thank you for tuning in and for allowing me to spend this part of your day with you. Please rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to the show. And of course, please subscribe and spread the word to your friends, family, or that cousin who always says our family is crazy. Till next time, stay well, stay kind, and stay present.